What is up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Today, we are checking out the Wampler Mofetta. This pedal is based on a very popular pedal, especially in Nashville, which is the Distortion. Goes back to the 90s. It was called the MT10. This pedal will definitely nail that, but you can actually get some more out of it. The original Distortion was MOSFET, but as far as I know, or as far as I can understand, it was a MOSFET op amp with diode clipping in the original circuit with bass, mids, and treb. In this case, you can certainly nail that, but Wampler has added their own take on it, where it's not just MOSFET op amp with diode clipping, but it's actually MOSFET clipping, in that it sounds like and feels like, cascading gain stage. In other words, it's cascading MOSFET clipping, or think of it as cascading tube gain stage. So it feels much more amp-like within that parameter, and you can choose between the two. So let's get right into what's on top of the pedal. On the top row, you've got bass, mids, and treble. We'll get into how that sounds. We all know what that does. You have your level control. It's the overall level of the pedal. You have your gain control. We all know what that does. More or less gain, more or less distortion, overdrive, what have you. We'll get into how all that sounds. The switch in the center of the pedal allows you to choose between the two circuits I spoke about. So in the down position, you're going to be in that Distortion MT10 circuit. In the up position, so in the down position, it's going to be a little bit more controllable, maybe a little bit brighter. We'll get into how it sounds. But in the up position, that's when the cascading MOSFET thing comes into play. It's going to be a bit bigger sounding overall, a little bit more spread out. It's definitely going to feel more amp-like. And we will definitely get into how both of those circuits sound in the demo. I certainly employed both circuits in that performance. I'll talk about that in the demo as well. Obviously, you have your on and off switch. Your ins and outs are at the top of the pedal, as well as the 9-volt DC. So yeah, let's check out this Wampler Mofetta. All right, let's get into this thing. Here's just the guitar into the amplification thingy. And here is the Mofetta. Okay, cool. So my usual noodling around, changing things up. I started at noon across the board as far as bass, mids, and treb and gain. Let's gosh, where to start? Let's just look at the texture switch. Okay, so where it's set right now is in the down position. In that position, that would be, as far as I understand, it's going to be essentially a MOSFET op amp with diode clipping, which would have been part of the original circuit. And that actually sounds really cool. And that's what, I would be used to hearing is that original Distortion circuit. And that sounds cool. I'm just going to throw the switch up into the cascading MOSFET thing that Brian did. So the difference is, in my humble opinion, let me know what you think, but in my humble opinion, in that down setting, which would be closer to the original circuit, that sounds great. If we go into the up position on that switch, which is more of kind of a cascading gain, more amp-like, like think of, you know, a tube cascading thing. In the up position, it's more, in my humble opinion, more kind of amp-like. I personally really like it in that position, especially for rhythm takes, but even for solos, you know, if I was a professional, I would have like written everything down so I remember which solo was which. But as far as I can remember, I did the majority of the solos actually with the texture in the down position because it was easier to control and easier to fit in the mix. Because obviously I don't EQ or touch anything. But as a rhythm pass, I loved it in the upper position because it just felt so much like an amp. I know one of the solos, and I think it was the solo with the Les Paul. And then everything after that was in the down position with that texture switch. In the up position, all the rhythm passes just sounded massive. So that's what's going on with that texture switch. I'm going to leave it there, and let's just look at the gain range. So obviously there's going to be more gain, in my opinion, with the texture switch up, even with the gain off, because I guess it's cascading. There's more gain with the switch up, less with it down. I'll leave it up. Here's the gain at noon. Switch down. There's still more perceived gain with the switch forward. I'm assuming because it's cascading. I'll turn the gain all the way up. with the gain all the way up, there's still more perceived gain with the switch in the up position. In the down position, it's a little more controllable. So, I guess in that case, it's to each his or her own, but that's the gain range in that position, or in both positions. I really like this pedal in the upper position, but once again, that's just my opinion. So it's not like a high gain, like massive high gain pedal, but it can get pretty saturated. That being said, level wise, even with the gain off, you can push the amp pretty good. In this case, the level to me is a tone control. Once you get above unity gain, especially if I turn the guitar back on, which is about noon, that's a good place to start. You can actually use that to manipulate how this pedal sounds, as far as, is it going to sound more like a distortion or overdrive or more like a fuzz? If you have the level set way hotter, then the pedal's going to sag and do kind of what a fuzz pedal would do. I like to start at about noon. If you run the gain hotter, you're going to push the amp harder, but also it seems like there's some internal whatever going on by pushing that level hotter, even with the gain at noon. It's just something I'm mentioning. I'm not saying it's necessarily part of this circuit, but just from a parenthetic voice standpoint, in my most parenthetic voice, the level control has a lot to do with, you guys know this, overdrive, distortions. The level control does have quite a bit to do with how things end up sounding. Okay, I'm digressing. That is the level control. Let's look at the EQ. Right now, everything's at noon. Let's start with the bass. Bass off. That was a movie. No, it wasn't. But anyways, bass off. Here's the bass at noon. Bass all the way up. The way that's voiced is really nice. It depends on how you have the pedal dialed. I would say as you crank gain, turn the bass down. In either mode, whether it's down like in the original or up in the more MOSFET clipping mode, turn the bass down as you turn the gain up. Here's the mids off. Mids at noon. Mids all the way up. heads are pretty warm. I like to keep them around there, just below noon. But yeah, it's a really nice circuit. Okay, here's the treble off. Treble at noon. Treble all the way up. So it's a pretty good sweep. If you turn it all the way up, there's a bit of like upper mid push along with treble. I like it around there. Okay, so that is the Wampler Mofetta. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, go to the website. Please, if you like this content, like and subscribe. And I will see you on the next one.